early because I'm late. Yes, I am, but it's okay. Um, Still gonna go over the same topics we usually go over, which is Black Hebrew Israelite nonsense, Black Hebrew Israelite rhetoric. Um, Today I came across a few. I gotta start putting these posts like screenshots, put them up so you can actually read them as we go over them. But I see Denise Marie is in the house, and she knows what I'm talking about because we're part of this group called the Jews versus Hebrew Israelites. I don't know why I'm in it because I'm not a Jew or Hebrew Israelite, but I guess I was invited by the creator of the group or the administrator, and yeah, I come across a lot of these Hebrew Israelites, and you know, some of these Jews aren't even really familiar with the arguments of these Hebrew Israelites. These Hebrew Israelites pretty much, um, for those that don't know, this whole movement took on a whole nother level of what you would call what you think religion is. It's like this is a cult. Some people consider religions cults, and I don't look at it in that way so broadly. I mean, I understand that religions can be very useful, and people, they give their whole lives to whatever their belief might be. Now, in cases of a religious cult, like the Hebrew Israelites, like the majority of these Hebrew Israelite groups are religious cults. Um, you have these lies that come along with it. It's like what you see with like the neo Nazis or these white supremacists. They usually latch on to these narratives that are just all about race. Um, you know, they're just like the Black Hebrew Israelites, just like these white supremacists that are very religious. They claim to be holy. They claim to be chosen, just like the Black Hebrew Israelites. They hate the Jews, just like Black Hebrew Israelites. They hate Jewish people, and their entire doctrine is really based on a lot of hate. It's not like, I mean, they try to masquerade it a lot of times behind we love our people and we want to show our people the truth and all of that. But the good amount of these groups that are out here that call themselves Hebrew Israelites trying to wake their people up are actually some of the most hateful people you ever come across. You see them in the streets, um, from you see them all around the world now. Actually, IUIC is Israel United in Christ. They're one of the biggest groups. They're all over the place.
The day following April Fool's, officers from several agencies rushed to a mall in Virginia on reports of an active shooter.
Let's get into some of this Hebrew Israelite stuff. Let's go look at some of these playlists. You can see my Hebrew Israelite videos. I guess we'll just play them out in the background so you can see. If you haven't been on my channel before, I started doing this thing to expose a Hebrew Israelite cult called the ICGJC, the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ, a long time ago. So 7 years ago. I mean, you want to call that a long time. So I made a video like this called "Why I'm No Longer a Hebrew Israelite." Then you have the Black King James lie. I've been doing these videos for a long time. I'm gonna just keep it on pause. Exposing people like Tazadakia, Guerrilla Hebrew, Tazaria, Kataza. These are leaders in this Hebrew Israelite community. Shout out to everybody out there. Beard 157, I see you. It's a lot of deception, and you see that these movements start, and it's almost like every 10 years, it's like a new movement where Hebrew Israelites or where Black Americans, mainly Black Americans, some other people latch onto it, but it's usually Black Americans that deal with these crazy lies. And it's an identity crisis. The whole Hotep thing was a big thing. I don't know how far that goes back. That's still a thing. You know, the Hebrew Israelite movement really started blowing up in the 1980s and 1990s. It became a thing in Harlem. It became like this a doctrine of things that were already being taught for let's say before the 12 tribes sign came out. It was probably had been already 100 years where black people were saying here in America that they are descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It goes back all the way to the late 1800s, where you can find um, these leaders or these teachers or pastors or whatever you want to call them using scriptures like Deuteronomy 28:68, which is one of the main scriptures that they use today. Deuteronomy 28:68 is misinterpreted so much. I mean, it's become a doctrine now and a go-to scripture. So that's why I like to go to those scriptures and just straight up go right to it, not beat around the bush, just get right to the heart of it. The Hotep Kemet shit started in the 60s. So first it was like the Nation of Islam was the big thing for Black Americans. That was like 60s, right? 50s, 60s, Nation of Islam, right? I mean, I know that the honorable, so-called honorable Elijah Muhammad, he goes back to I believe the 30s, and what's his real name, man? I forget. He goes back to like, or his leader goes back to like the 30s at least. Then you got the whole Hotep thing started forming, um, and you hear some of that. I mean, it was still Islam and 5% was a thing that I would hear a lot about. 5% of stuff was getting pushed just before I started hearing about Hebrew Israelites in the 90s, in the mid 90s. Um, that's when I started. I think that's when I first even ever heard of Hebrew Israelites. Probably the mid 90s, going into the early 2000s. You know, I started becoming more familiar with it, and I joined in 2004 um, in the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ in Florida, in Orlando, Florida. So I became one of the heads of this cult as a very European looking Latino who has a mixture of different genetics. Um, another thing that you see along with the identity crisis is that they try to pull people of other races into this. Like myself, I got pulled into this thing, and it was kind of easy for me to fall for it because I was already in the culture. I was already growing up in New York City, listening to hip hop. I have friends of all different races. That's how New York City is. But I grew up very, very much in tune with hip hop and R&B and things like that, and in tune with Black culture. Then I started listening to more underground, conscious music. It was like Dead Prez was coming out. Dead Prez was coming out being straight up racist. They tell you straight up, pimp the system, burn the damn White House down, and start killing crackers in front of City Hall. Some of the lyrics of the group Dead Prez, and I was listening to some of this stuff. And you got Black people that will tell Hispanics like, "Yo, you're black, you're black," and it's like, yo, they're leading you into thinking that you're something that you're not. And then when you actually realize, when you do your DNA, you actually realize that you're not as black as you want to be. That shit shatters some of these people's worlds. You got to see some of these videos of Hispanics doing their DNA tests and getting the results and showing it live. And they're like, no, I'm 50% white. Like, yo, you can't tell that you're 50% white. Like, it's obvious that I'm over 50% white, European. It's fucking obvious. But these Black Hebrew Israelites and um, not just Black Hebrew Israelites, because Black Hebrew Israelites have a doctrine with the 12 tribe sign, and the 10 tribes are supposed to be Hispanics and Haitians or something. They don't even, they can't even figure it out. But But then you got people outside of that that tell you no, white people are or Hispanics are black. And it's like, yo, that's not the total truth. Hispanics are part black. They can be part black. Some of them have very little black in them. A lot of them I see have more European in them. The majority of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, they have more European than they have black or Native American. So yeah, yo, I'm not gonna lie either. Dead Prez, they're from Tallahassee. I love their music. I'm I mean, I listen to different types of music now. I grew up loving their music, I'll say. I can't listen to a lot of their stuff now. I can still listen to like hip hop and a certain song, even though the messages is in there that I don't agree with. It's like I don't even consider it like reality. Like these people is like a movie, so I can watch a movie that promotes violence or whatever you want to say, or that shows it at least. And it doesn't, it doesn't really bother me like that. But I can call this stuff out just pure ignorance, man. Like the stuff that some of them were trying to say, like especially in the song, the Pimp the System song, it's like you just setting people up for failure. You setting people up for a life of illegality, pretty much, risking going to jail because you're trying to do all types of fraud against the government, which is a federal crime that's punishable up to 15 years, actually. So you gotta be careful if you defrauding, the welfare system as they were trying to push that in that song. It's freaking crazy. But so the identity crisis is insane, is what I wanted to get into because what I've been hearing lately, and it's been for maybe like 2 or 3 years that I've been hearing this. Maybe more. I don't even. I'm sure there was a few fringe maniacs out there years ago saying that the original Native Americans are actually black people. The original natives. I'm talking about the Clovis people that came from Siberia almost what 20,000 years ago. There were different migrations. So it happened 12,000 to 20,000 years ago. There were migrations of these Siberians, ancient East Asians, who had probably somewhat of a mixed um, population. I mean, it's going to be mixed with other Asians, but there's East Asians. You got Eurasians that made it up there too. So there was a little bit of mix of that, and then you got some Polynesian DNA that made its way over to the Americas. And you can find that in Colombia and Peru. You can find that stuff, and you can see it in the boats that they use. I always forget the name of these things. The canoes. There you go. That comes from Polynesia and and Indonesia and Micronesia, all these different places, and all the islands over there that they have in the Pacific Ocean. That you can see that when the water levels were lower, the sea levels were lower, coming out of the ice age, as the ice is melting and the water levels rise. um, you're gonna have more things that get exposed or covered up, rather. When the water levels lower, the sea levels lower, you have more things that are exposed, more land is exposed. So once the giant glaciers and things started melting away, more land was exposed, or new land was exposed, and they were able to make it over to what we have now, the Americas. And there's DNA, genetics, anthropology, all types of sciences that you can learn, find out yourself. Look up the Anzac One child, which I believe was found in Missouri, or something like that. Then you got the Kennewick man. The Kennewick man was found in Wisconsin. These are bones and bodies that were exhumed and that they done DNA testing with, and they found that it matches with ancient Siberians, and it also matches with modern Native Americans. There's a connection there. What's up, Mega Dardigman? What's good? Um, Jake Infinger says, I'm here for the Asians. Yeah, man. That's a fetish right there for sure. Anyways, um, some of the doctrines though that I wanted to get into, because it was something that came up today. Um, cool, but no Asians. Okay. Um, so yeah, something that came up today with a dude on this Jews versus Hebrews. Oh, actually, no. There's another Facebook group that I'm a part of called Dismantling Hebrew Israelism. I love that group. That's my new favorite group. The pagan man was found in guerrilla Hebrew. The pagan man. Oh, the Sunrise Child is another body. There's more. I just got to get all this information. I've been trying to gather everything and get it on a good edited video and destroy, along with informing and educating myself and y'all. Because as I'm going and learning and looking up things, I'm also getting even more educated on some of these topics that I probably didn't have that much of an understanding on, like that Native Americans did come from Asians. I didn't have a great understanding of that until I started actually doing my research and realizing how ignorant it is for Hebrew Israelites to say that Hispanics, Mexicans are somehow connected to the Hebrew Israelites, and that they're also connected to Black Americans, and Haitians and Jamaicans, people that are West African by ancestry. And you know for a fact that well, another another piece of evidence that supports the idea, the fact that Black Americans are from West Africa, is that West Africans uh, also suffer from sickle cell anemia. They actually are, Black people are 80% of the cases. African Americans are 80% of the cases of sickle cell anemia, or 81, something like that. And West Africans share the same genetic issues. It's a genetic thing, just like Asians have a genetic issue with alcohol and metabolizing alcohol. They've always had an issue with that. They have something that happens where their face gets red and it's called flush. And a lot of Asians can't even drink, like they don't drink alcohol. They can't. It really messes them up. In some cases it's really bad. In other cases, some of them can drink and it's not as bad as it is to others. But Native Americans have the same issue where they have problems metabolizing alcohol. Then when you go into the teeth of the Native Americans, it's close to the Asians, and what they call the shovel shaped incisors is what they call them. It's the teeth that are right on the outside of your. Let me see. So you have the two front teeth, and you have the two next to it. It's the ones like third. Those have a certain shape to them that you see in Native Americans and you see in Asians. And you know what I'm talking about. That's why they call it the shovel shaped incisors. It's shaped like a shovel. And it's something that you see with Mexicans. You ever seen their teeth? I mean, this is stuff that's genetics. This is genetic evidence, hardcore like evidence that's dealing with a connection that you can't deny, a genetic connection that you can't just put there. It can't just be created and fabricated. This shit is realer than your fake ass interpretations of scriptures and your misunderstanding of history and words, basic words. They have a problem with dealing with. There's a scripture in the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24, that they love to use. Job, chapter 9, verse 24, it says, the world or the earth shall be given to the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, who and where is he? So it says, he covers the faces of the judges thereof. They interpret that scripture in Job chapter 9, verse 24, these Hebrew Israelites, to mean that they whitewash the faces of the judges, who the judges are supposed to be the Israelites and black. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. That's not what it's talking about. It's not talking about they love to throw race and add racial tension to everything. Like oh look, they're being racist. They cover the faces of the judges. It's talking about perverting justice. It's talking about justice not being served and being perverted. That's what covering the faces of the judges means. A judge is supposed to see the justice, or deliver justice by looking and seeing and analyzing and determining what's wrong and what's right. And when it says that they cover the faces, what wicked people cover the faces just means that they're blinding them from justice. So justice is being perverted. It's not talking about whitewashing. That doesn't even make sense. Covering the faces just means your faces, your eyes are covered. What happens when your face is covered? Your eyes are covered. You can't see. So justice is blind, as they say, right? Um, why are we talking about races? What's going on? You can call yourself. Is there an Asian Facebook? You can call yourself anything you want, but it doesn't mean you're a better person at heart. Yep. I've seen Dominicans. I've even seen Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and South Americans with predominantly indigenous ancestries that look vaguely South Asian. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I knew a few of them actually in the cult. There's one that stands out. There's a sister that stands out that looked very Asian. She was Mexican, and she was from New York, so she spoke just like me. Like, like she barely even spoke Spanish. That's what is happening with a lot of Hispanics here in America. They're losing the culture. They're losing their culture from their old countries, and they're adopting the cultures of Black Americans, of whatever, even Asian Americans, Koreans. People are getting into that, and um, you know, there's nothing wrong with like getting familiar with the culture, but when you start to think that you're Asian or you're Black because you're familiar with somebody's culture, that's insanity right there. And that's what's going on with a lot of these Hebrew Israelites. Is they're getting pulled, and they're even pulling white people to think that they're somehow genetically Black when they go back, to their ancestry. They just look white because of mixing. So it's crazy. But I've seen Dominicans and Puerto Ricans that look Black. Uh, yes, that's a thing. It's they say that a good 35% of Dominicans are consider themselves to be Black. Even though in Dominican Republic we don't separate ourselves by that, by you're Black and you're white, they're just all Dominicans, and they don't really separate themselves by none of that. So when they hear like, oh, you're Black, Dominicans think that you're saying that they're Black Americans, like Black, like damn Lil Wayne or something like that, and they don't want no parts of that. They're like, no, I know Black. So there's a whole misconception with what Dominicans are saying when they say I know Black. It's not that they're talking about their skin is not Black. So what Godfrey was saying and made it all a joke to try to get on Dominicans is because we don't want to associate ourselves with some of the negative stereotypes that are in Black culture. Some of us don't want to do that. I didn't care. Like I was all down with it. But there are some dark skinned people darker than me that don't want to associate with Black Americans. They come to America and their parents don't want their daughters, who might be as Black as like Nina Simone. They don't want their daughters, their Nina Simone looking daughters, to get with a dude that looks like Samuel Jackson or whatever. And it's not because of the looks, it's because of the culture, it's because of the behavior, it's because of some of the actions that they see. And that's all it is. I'm just being real. And you can say what you want about Dominican Republic because shit, they got their problems too. But it's a real identity crisis, man, where it's like everybody wants to claim something that they're not. It's like it's weird that people can't just be happy with just who they are. I mean, but yeah, you're right, man. There's a lot of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans that look Black, and Cubans. Look at Roberto Clemente, Puerto Rican. He's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Came straight out of Puerto Rico. One the first Puerto Rican base, or the second, or the first. It might have been the first Puerto Rican player. I have a feeling there was somebody before him, but he might have played for the Negro Leagues or something. But yeah, it's weird when they, especially now, what they're saying with the Native Americans, that they're claiming that Blacks are the original Native Americans. What they want to be everybody now. Like, what's going on? This is crazy. And they're racist as hell, man. You see what they be doing out here in the streets, man. And you got dumb ass freaking white liberal ass motherfuckers who actually get down on their knees and lick these guys' boots because they have a soft place in their heart for the black man. And it's like, stop treating black people like they're your little pets and shit, you know? And then when you find one that sees they see your kindness as a weakness and they take advantage of that. That has happened many times. That's what's happening right now because there's a lot of white people that feel guilty about their ancestry because they're constantly being pushed. They're constantly showing, oh, look what your ancestors have done to black people. Look how evil your white ancestors are. This is a cult tactic that's being done not just in the Black Hebrew Israelite community. I see it being done in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry. They're making fun of white people that where it's like I love racial jokes. Those would be the funniest ones. But sometimes I think about it, well, what if it's a white person that is starting to, starts to make fun of black people and yo, that will be canceled in a second, man. There's certain comedians that could say and do whatever the hell they want and get away with it, like Dave Chappelle. That whole the race, bro. Dave Chappelle is beyond any of that cancellation. You cannot cancel Dave Chappelle or none of that, which goes to show you that it don't matter if you're black or white. If you got the power, you got the people behind you, you're gonna you could do your own thing and you don't have to go with what the corporations are doing and trying to push you to do. That's what Dave Chappelle's been doing. That's why I love and respect that man so much. You know, because of the way that he handled himself in this crazy ass industry. He didn't fall for that okie doke, that bullshit. But listen, man, I'm also open to hearing shit that everybody got to say. You know, I'm definitely somewhere in the middle politically. I lean a little bit more right, I guess, in certain issues, but then on certain issues, I do lean a little bit left. Being from New York City, I was exposed to a lot of the liberal bullshit. I seen a lot of the garbage. I seen a conservative mayor in Giuliani come in and clean the city up and change it for good. And now, ever since De Blasio came in, it's been New York City. I'm going back in July for a little while to visit my father. New York City is insane right now. The shit that's happening right now. There was a dead body on the I think the N or the R train. There was a corpse, like a person died on the train, and it's just sitting right in the train, and nobody bothers nobody. Like people try to keep and mind their business in New York City as much as possible. You see it all the time, you know. Never forget De Blasio and his French fries. Yo, Blasio was insane, man. One of the worst mayors in United States history was De Blasio. What's good, Brooklyn Outlaw? De Blasio was also the one that gave the money over to the Central Park Five, and the Central Park Five is one of the biggest scams that has. Yo, people don't even know the real story of the Central Park Five. They watch the dumbass Netflix documentary made by Ava DuVernay, one of Oprah's damn little students, and they think that that's actually what happened. Yo, that right there, that story is one of the craziest stories where you can actually find the confessions of all these kids, and some of them had their parents with them, right online, yo. And you don't see any coercion or none of the bullshit that they were saying that happened. And they didn't even interview one of the detectives that was black and Hispanic. One of the detectives was Puerto Rican and black. And in the movie, they had nobody playing that detective. They had all the detectives white. Everybody was just evil. It was crazy as fuck. The corpse was robbed by a woman, and the dude put his penis in the dead man's mouth. That's crazy as hell. Yeah, that's why I was going with that. New York City, bro. It's so disgusting, bro. You got a corpse sitting on the body. Somebody robbed, pickpocketed the dude. And then another dude literally did some necromancing on the train. Necrophilia. This is disgusting as hell, man. And I think the dude was a migrant. The way that they're just allowing migrants to just flood New York City, Mayor Adams ain't with that shit. You see, he's not taking that shit. He took a big U-turn on his political stance, but he's still a little crazy himself. But the mayor of Chicago, you're gonna see what's gonna happen in Chicago in the next 5 to 10 years, and blame that current mayor, whatever his damn name is. He's a black man with glasses, and he thinks he's smart as hell because he speaks very very well. But he's an idiot politically. Um, you have all these homeless people and veterans and stuff in this country that need help, and we're helping people that come from other countries that actually hate our country. They actually come here and they make a mockery of us in our whole system. You have that one dude, Leonel, whatever the hell, the Venezuelan influencer that was trying to promote, pushing this whole, oh, you can pimp the system. I'll tell you how to do it. He was saying it all in Spanish. He's like, yo te digo qué hacer. Tú tienes que tener un bebé. Y el bebé después, I'll say it in English. You have to have a baby, is what they'll say. Come to this country and have a baby. Then that baby becomes your check, your paycheck, your golden ticket. And he's holding his baby. He's like, this is my savior. This is my golden ticket right here. Because he said, oh, if you have kids in this country, now the government has to support your kids. And in turn, you get support too, because they're trying to support the kids, supporting the family, they support the parents. Haha, I get money for free. Yeah, now anybody can do it. Now he's calling all his family. Come on over to America. Let's all fucking milk the system. So you have that going on. And then you do have some hardworking ass migrants that come here, but they come here illegally. They're working. They're at the construction sites. They're getting them at the construction site. So they are working. They're not all leeching off the system. But there's also people that come here illegally, and like I said, with that influencer, who they have children, and now they're working under the table, so they're not paying taxes. Their taxes aren't going to us, and the business owners love that because they don't have to pay them benefits. They don't have to give them shit. They can pay them less too, and these motherfuckers could work hard. Mexicans could work hard. They work. Um, majority of them that I've seen, at least. But of course, there's some lazy, drunkards and people that just wanna. They think that they don't have to work. They try to find an easy way in life to get by and just whatever. Um, and there's ways out here, man. There's loopholes. Adams spent $6.9 billion on migrants. That's crazy, Brooklyn Outlaw. NYC is in the Marvel universe. Yeah, man. Yo, South America and justice now. They lock them up under a house in chains. Demons, bro. That's so messed up, but they end up getting rewarded. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know people need help. People come to this country. My aunts, my parents came to this country from another country, seeking a better life. And they did it the right way. They never committed any crimes, as far as I know. And they never got arrested. They never had a record. They keep their status clean. Um, and as long as you keep it that way, you're good. But it just blows my mind that people say they hate this country. The country's so racist, blah blah. But they're flocking over here. Mexico is horrible right now. The cartels are running the government. The news stations, they're scared to report some of the things, and then if they do, they might get kidnapped and tortured and then killed. They do that with the social media influencers. There's been social media influencers from Mexico that are live, and start speaking against like the cartel. They'll start talking live like, oh, hey, fuck the cartel, blah blah blah. Bro, the cartel will pull up on them like within the hour. All you see is there was a woman actually that got set up, a social media influencer, I believe, was in Mexico, and this beautiful blonde hair woman that was sitting in front of her live, and she was getting set up like they were bringing her gifts. Oh, we're gonna bring you a gift. We're gonna bring you a gift. They end up shooting this girl, man, literally on the live. Some crazy shit. This is crazy what's going on out here. But yeah, that's a whole different animal, right? Everest says this country sucks. He said this country. So you're in the country. It's like you're living with your parents and you're constantly complaining, I hate you, Dad. You can leave your parents' house and you can leave this country if you're old enough, I guess. Um, the wave foreign flag. I mean, listen, there's bad things in this country. We have horrible health. We have the most, like, one of the most unhealthy kids or people, period, in the world, especially for developed countries. We're greedy. The corporations are greedy. Um, we're we're um we're gluttonous. We intake way more calories than we should compared to Japan, Korea. We eat horribly, man. And look how long Japanese people live, man. Look how good they look too at an old age, and they rarely look overweight and bloated and shit. You know, I can't. I shouldn't be talking, but it is what it is. Watch your way. And the rest is downstream. The rest is downstream. It depends on what part of the Caribbean. Northern Caribbean feels like North America, while South Caribbean feels like South America. Plenty of indigenous people also travel between SA, but yeah, and Caribbean. Okay. What's SA? St. Augustine? Not everyone is fortunate, but yeah, we have a choice to leave. Asian meals are decent. I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't know. I feel you. I liked and subbed, which all of these are most inspirational figures of all times. Which of these are your most inspirational figures of all time? President Abraham Lincoln, Senator John Wayne Gacy, or Dr. Ted Bundy? That's a funny question. I'm gonna leave that alone. You got South Africa. When I said Saint Augustine. Yep, the Asians, Arabs, Indians, Native Americans, and Eastern Europeans are pretty healthy and age well. Yeah, Native American. Well, no, not Native Americans. I think Native Americans. I might be thinking of another. Damn, what was it with Native? Something in Native Americans is really high. I think I'm thinking about something else though. What's up, Steven? Stevens. Um, yeah, well, Native Americans, when they first arrived here, when the Spanish and when everybody first arrived here, pretty much saw the Native Americans, especially when the English arrived here and came to like Virginia, and they saw the Native Americans over there. They were always very fit, very slim. They ate well. They were healthy. They had a lot of stamina. They can run like the wind, and yeah, they were good hunters too, obviously. So you know, but yeah, it wasn't until the age of all this processed food and these food dyes and colorings and high fructose corn syrup and aspartame and all this fake stuff that they're making out here. Alcoholism is high with Native Americans. Oh, you know what I was thinking? Oh, it was good. That needs to be free. It was good, brother. Yeah, what I was thinking about is it's not really alcoholism though. I mean they do drink a lot, but it's also that they have trouble metabolizing like alcohol. They don't metabolize alcohol as well as Europeans do. Especially when they first got a taste of alcohol. you know? Yeah. But even no, they used to make some type of alcohol with corn though. So but anyways, the missing children and missing girls is big with Native American community, and a lot of those be runaways. It's not like they all get kidnapped and stuff. I think I read somewhere where like it came out that like 85% of the missing people um that turn up are people that ran away with their boyfriend or whatever. They're on drugs or something, some issue. And sometimes they don't even get reported when they come back home. So sometimes they continue to as if they're still missing. But a lot of these missing children, like when you call in missing children, or missing kids or whatever. It's like teens, especially when they're like 16 and they got a boyfriend. I'm telling you, the majority of the time, it's just that they ran away with their boyfriend or some shit. And but there's, I mean, there's a lot of kidnapping too going on where these kids are getting sold into all types of trafficking stuff that I don't even know how much I could say right now. But yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's that they drink a lot. I think I remember reading that when I was trying to do my research on the Native Americans and their connection to Siberians and Asians, and that's what I found. It's not that they drink a lot; it's that they have trouble metabolizing it. But there is like a high percentage of alcoholism and drug use in the Native American community, on reservations and all of that. Um, I got to check the numbers on that again. I know Native Americans are usually at the bottom, or at the top when it comes to like alcoholism and some types of like crimes and stuff. You know. Anyways, the identity crisis though of Black Americans that are saying that they're Native Americans, that they're the original Native Americans, is one of the craziest things. I mean, I thought the Hebrew Israelite thing was crazy, and I mean it is, but this is even crazier because this is like there's so much evidence here in America that like it's crazy. It's crazy as fuck. There's a dude named Dante Fortson who's and Tazara, or what's his name? Tazaya, I think, or Tazara. That's his name, Tazara. And these cats be out here talking about that Native Americans are five what do they call them, $5 Indians or something, and and they're fake, and that their history only goes back to like 1700s or something, which is crazy because the names that I just listed of like the Kennewick man, the Anzac One child, and the Sunrise child. Those are bodies. I've read all up on this. This has been researched by the University of what is it, UCLA. What's the other one? University of Anchorage in Alaska. Anchorage is the capital of Alaska. Um, and then you got in what they call the Vancouver Bay in northern, what is that, the Pacific, that whole Pacific region where Alaska is north, and then you come down that whole bay, down the Pacific Ocean, and you come towards Canada, because Alaska is pretty much Canada. Then you come down to America, and you got what's called the Channel Islands of California. Um, when the sea levels were lower, all those islands were exposed, and you can probably walk across, from one piece of land to the other. It was probably easier to get across. So this is why they love doing extensive like research and excavations in islands, because of those reasons, because you can tell when they started to get split off from the mainland. You can tell, like in northern Siberia, there's land there's like an island that was once connected to Siberia. And what started happening was that the mammoths, the woolly mammoths that were in that island, I forget the name of it, right above Siberia, they when the water level started to rise, they got cut off from the mainland. And you find bones of the woolly mammoths up there, and then you find bones of woolly mammoths that crossed over what they call Beringia, and they made it over to America, or the Americas, what's now known as the Americas. To them, it was just a big piece of uncharted land. This is what it was, and it took some time for them to populate it. And I'm like I said, there were different migrations. There were all different types of people that probably came down and populated. You have Iceland, or you have Greenland, not too far. You really have it. Like, it's not far if you really look at it. It's not far off from North America. You got the Inuit people and the Alouette people that are North Canada. that look Asian, and they're very white because they're north. They're in the cold. They're very up north, far away from the equator. Then when you start getting closer to the equator in Ecuador and in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, the Caribbean, whatever, now you got people that have darker skin. They're a little darker there. You can tell, but they're all connected to each other. They're all descendants. When you go back long enough, the elements start to change, and your genes can mutate over time. It might not happen in your lifetime, but over generations, you're going to start seeing things change, and you're going to adapt to your environment. It's little by little. It's not crazy big changes. It's never that way. But DTX says, I remember ABC had a show called Alaska Daily back in 2022 about missing indigenous women that lasted for like one season. Trafficking needs to be addressed and ended. Yep. Brooklyn Outlaw says, leave the engines alone, Miguel. And Needs to Be Free says, natives have it pretty bad, though. We just don't hear about it as much. Yeah, they do, man. Big Paul says, tan loco, bro. Puerto Ricans are 1,000% more native than them. More native? I don't know what you mean by that, more native. More native than who? Puerto Ricans have a good large amount of indigenous DNA, more than Dominicans, because I think it's due to the fact that the Spanish came to the Dominican Republic first, and this is where they went crazy. They wiped them out, man. So they had a good longer time of doing damage and mixing in and interbreeding and destroying the indigenous men, killing the indigenous men and women. In Puerto Rico, you find people with like 50% indigenous DNA. 56%. This one chick I worked with, she was 56% indigenous, and I couldn't see it because she's like 12% African or 15% African, and then she's like 30 something percent European. So it was like a mix that I rarely see in Dominican Republic. I couldn't tell. In Dominican Republic, it seems like you have more African DNA. And I think that's actually a fact that in Dominican Republic, that's where you have more African DNA because of Haiti. That's on the island in Dominican Republic than any other Latin American country on that part of the island. In Dominican Republic, there's more. Like I said, it was like 35% of the people in Dominican Republic consider themselves black or African because they don't really use the term black. They consider themselves African. I think Brazil has like the next closest, as far as percentage wise, because Brazil is huge, and even though I think it's only like 11%, or maybe it's more. I don't know. I might be confused on that with the Latin American African DNA and who has the most. I mean, definitely Dominican Republic has the most, but who's number two? I can't tell you. I think it's Brazil. And I'm talking about population wise, like 35% is a high population compared to, maybe in Brazil. I think Brazil is like 11% of the people consider themselves to be African, fully African. But that 11% is so big because there's so many people in Brazil that amount, that number, the raw number is bigger than I think a lot of other Latin American countries. I got to do more research on that, but it's something like that. I'm close. So, but yeah, all these differences, they're there, but at the same time, like we're all similar and we all want and need the same things as humans. So I'm not trying to like separate people by race because, oh, we're better. Look at, I don't know, man. Something about being in the Hebrew Israelite cult and actually debating these guys always has me focusing on this stuff because this is what they always talk about. So I like to focus on this racial stuff all the time. It is interesting too, and I like to speak openly and candidly about it. I hate when people are so scared and so they want to tiptoe around these topics. I don't like doing that shit, man. I've done that before and it doesn't work. People don't listen to you and they don't take you seriously and they think like you're not really sure about what you're saying when you start tiptoeing. You got to start talking straight up with people, man, because like the lies are out there, bro. Like the lies that the majority of school shooters are white, man. I don't know how that shit became. Well, I know how it became a thing. It's because white school shooters kill more people when they do a school shooting. That's it. They just happen to just do more killings. but they don't do it as much as black people do it. You've seen the videos. I've done all the research. I don't know why nobody else does a video on this, exposing the bullshit. Because what I started doing was like following it over the time and over, the course of some months or a year or two. I was like really keeping up with the school shootings, and I was trying to see, well, it looks like it's like half of the time it's black people that are doing it, more than half of the time. So then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna put time into doing a whole video about the school shootings of 2023. And what I found was in 2022 and 2023 was that there's more black school shooters. I mean, it's right there. All the links are in that video are in the description. Whatever, I mean, I use a lot of news reports, so I didn't put all those links, but I used the link that shows you the breakdown of where it was in every city and the date and which school. And there's only K through 12 that I do, because it's so much more when you start adding universities. Well, it's not so much more, but I don't know. It's just I didn't see a good database for university shootings. I would have to go to a separate one, and I just wanted to stick with one source that handled the K through 12, and that right there showed me that. And I already knew that that was a bullshit lie, that the majority of school shooters are white, because the majority of shooters are not white. Period, in this country. So why would the majority of school shooters be white? It doesn't make sense. The majority of the shootings in this country are actually not done by white people, even though the majority of the people in this country are white people. It's a weird time that we're living in. But trust me, white people love their fucking guns. And we got 9 billion guns that we know about in this country, because there are ghost guns now, that you can assemble and get pieces, from different websites and shit, and you can go about it that way. That's what they're doing in Philly, man. Philly's a crazy hot zone for them ghost guns, man. It's crazy. Oh, the link to join the combo is on my Facebook page. The link. I actually threw it on my Facebook page. Whenever they do make videos like you do, the videos get taken down and get shadow banned. Yeah, bro. I got like 130 views on my 2023 school shooting videos. 130 views, bro. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. I don't get it. I mean, I guess because it's dealing with children, underage, teens, and shootings. But I've seen other people do videos on stuff like this, and they get mad views. But it's a tricky subject, and I got to start changing my topics if they're not getting views like that. I mean, I'm basically just doing it for me then, which I do sometimes I do videos for myself just because. Pennsylvania, yeah. Anything to racist about color. Yeah. Whenever they do make videos like you do, the videos get, yeah, right there. Yo, what do you think of the story about the Tainos being one of the most lost tribes being one of the lost tribes of Shabazz? I never heard that before. The whole lost tribes of Shabazz thing is fake, anyways. That's not even. There's no accurate history to that. I think that's all. That's all pseudo stuff, and they try to connect that to like the lost tribes of Israel or something. But it's like a 13th tribe. It don't make sense. Yeah, it sounds similar to all of this too. I remember hearing somebody in the ICGJC making fun of the whole Shaka Zulu and the Lost Tribe of Shabazz. I remember the jokes going around, and they always just dismissed all of that stuff as just pseudo and just it sounds funny. But some people could argue that the stories of the Bible sound funny too. I mean, a donkey speaking, a virgin or a woman that never had sex giving birth. Some people may say that those stories are a little crazy, you know, um, or the fact that Hebrew Israelites think that Mexicans and Haitians are cousins or something. That is crazy. I always used to hear about the lost tribe of Shabazz too, but With the research that I've done on that, all that I know is that it's it's no history to it, you know. So I don't know how it started. It's always good to know how these things started because I was watching this YouTube channel that is a dude named Brother Garfield, right? If you know about Brother Garfield, you ever heard of him? You might have heard of him from going up against like the Hebrew Israelites and the Hotep people on Sonetter's channel. So I don't know how he became popular like that, but I don't know how Sonetter heard of him, but I think I first found him on Sonetter going against like Guerrilla Hebrew, and they were like standing on a basketball court somewhere in like Harlem. I remember seeing that video years ago, and then they started getting cool with each other. Like Garfield's somebody that they respect for the most part, and they'll entertain him and give him a little debate. You know, they won't do that with people that you know they. I don't know. I guess that they don't respect or that they don't get introduced to and actually meet formally. I don't really see Hebrew Israelites be doing that. They you know, they always want to go live and get you on their channel, and then that's how they set you up because they're gonna, you know, they're gonna mute you, they're gonna kick you off when you start asking controversial questions. It's what always happens to me when I get on their joint. But yeah, it's you know, like you have these just false interpretations is one of the main things, main problems I see with Hebrew Israelites. But yeah, Brother Garfield, what he did was not only show that this whole West African migration or this Israelite migration to West Africa, he showed that there's no evidence of that, and it seems to be pseudo because there's no evidence of it until we get some evidence, and it's like we should have evidence. The evidence that Hebrew Israelites show, you can always. I've realized by the research that I've been doing, especially listening to some people that actually have helped me out with debating these guys. Brother Garfield not only exposed that there's no evidence and that they're using things that are, you know, taking, they're misinterpreting words or they're misunderstanding old words, or they're just deceiving you by giving you different definitions of words. So you have a word and we know what it means, and or it might have two definitions and they want to use one definition, you know, when it's talking about another definition. So you got things like that happen. Then you have Israelites that do migrate, real Jews that migrated and made it to Africa. And we're talking about in the 1600s, 1700s. It's not even a migration. They just went to Africa, right? And then they'll write stories about these Jews that went to Africa. And when they write in the stories, they'll make it seem as if these people are actually black. Like I mean, the Israelites that interpret these books, they make it seem like the Israelites that are being spoken about, or the Jews that are being spoken about, are black, and they're not. These are people that came from wherever the hell they came from, you know, the Ashkenazi. Then you got Garfield that actually showed and exposed where that whole fake Deuteronomy 28 thing came from. That Deuteronomy 28, or not that, but the Babylon to Timbuktu. That's what he exposed, and he showed the original. I gotta go back and do my better research because I sound like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about because I just heard it today. But he basically exposed like the original story where this whole thing started from, that Israelites migrated to West Africa. He showed like where the story came from, and there was like this one African dude that started it, and it's actually he was actually lying to the people. You know, it was all pseudo bullshit, and those stories then became picked up by Hebrew Israelites as if it's real history, as if it's true. So it's great, man. I love what Garfield does. I love what Faithful to God does. Um, who's this dude? Fortune 93. Um, Vocab does his thing all the time with these cats. I haven't watched his channel in a while, and I haven't spoken to Vocab in a while. I think he sent me a text not too long ago showing me a video of IUIC stuff. You know, he tries to keep up with all that stuff, and so do I. So we share information. He shows me stuff that I probably never heard or saw, and I'll go do a video on it. IUIC is trying to get land in New Zealand. They're trying to like start their own damn Jim Jones type thing, I'm not trying to say like, they're gonna poison people and stuff, but like how he got land in Trinidad and all this whole compound. They're gonna try to do something like that, I believe, in New Zealand, IUIC. Just wait and watch. It's gonna be interesting what happens with the Hebrew Israelite doctrine as it develops, because these people are not you know, are not aware of how incorrect they are and how ignorant they are too. When they use the old map of this old Portuguese or old French map, actually, or was it? No, it's a Portuguese map, and it shows West Africa. So many different people will make a map. I think it's called a cartography. Cartography, right? So there's many people that make maps. So this person made a map, this Portuguese person, and he labeled the land of Togo, where Togo and Benin is right now. He labeled it as Judah, Juda. That's the name. So now this map was found by Hebrew Israelites, and they use this shit and they spread it, and it becomes a Facebook meme. It becomes memeology and Facebook scholarship, and it continues to be spread for years. And you see it. I see the same thing that I saw when I was a believer, and I would probably share some of this stuff. I see it now and I laugh, and I'm like, I can't believe I fell for this stuff. Look at the 12 tribes sign, But it's always, man, it's better to laugh at your past mistakes and to continue in your ignorance. And you're not laughing, man. You're too stupid to laugh at yourself because you don't even realize that you're wrong, you know, or just hard headed. It's probably not stupidity. Not all these people are dumb. They just have a lot of pride when they realize that they're wrong. I'm gonna do a video on how I just exposed this fake Russian icon. So there's a Russian, or it's not even Russian. It's a Serbian. This is a Serbian Orthodox Church saint. They call this guy a saint. His name is Nikolai Velimic, I think his name is Saint Nikolai Velimic, or Velmanik. He was born in 1986 or 1886. In the 1880s, 88, I believe he was born, and he died in 1956. And this Hebrew Israelite named Kazakh Strong Lion, whatever. If you're on the Hebrew Israelite Facebook group, you know who I'm talking about. This guy is one of the stupidest Hebrew Israelites in the world, and he's been sharing his own posts from years ago. He does that every day. He'll share a post from like 2015, today, and I'll see it. I'm like, okay, I'll click on the post, and I'm like, this shit is old as fuck. They got old ass comments, and I'm going through the post, and he has a link in there that's a .org link, .org link. Anybody that knows anything about websites and the internet and .org is one of the worst places where you can get any real information, because and those it's not like a .edu. Those are just as good as like a .info or something like that. .org. .org is you can't always trust them. I think those are nonprofit organizations that they get some help from the government or some shit. I forget, but either way, this guy uses source that's a bad source, and that's another thing that Hebrew Israelites don't know how to do. They don't know how to find a good source. Like they don't know how to determine what's accurate, what's not, because you can corroborate your source. Like if you find a source, go look for another source that you can corroborate it with. And if you don't believe in anything in history, then that's your problem. And that's one of the main problems with these Hebrew Israelites, because they'll want to show you a photo of a darkened image, and they think it's real because it coincides with what they already believe. It's a confirmation bias. But I can pull images of Jesus Christ looking white. I can pull an image of Jesus Christ that looks Chinese, because there's people that portrayed him to look like that, and there's people that portrayed him to look black. The people that portrayed him to look black existed in the 1900s. This guy died in 1956, and we have photos of him. We know he's white. We know he's Serbian. He's white. Um, the Post says that the people that drew this black icon, look, is Mary's parents. Mary was a Levite. Look at Mary's parents. They're black. This must be true because it's in an icon. Well, why is it true? This guy wasn't an eyewitness. They think like these are eyewitness like accounts or something, where even that is you can't trust. But this is a person that lived in less than 100 years ago, 50, 60 years ago. He was alive. So if he depicted Mary's parents to be black, why do you think that that's true? Why do you think that this is bigger than or more accurate than any other portrayal of Jesus Christ, or any religious biblical figures? Christ died for one race, the human race. Yeah. Evan Camacho, what's good? Even though he's a Christian, there's a former Hebrew Israelite named Faithful to God that has gone into a basic history of one West Hebrew Israel. Yeah, I talked to Faithful to God on the phone. I have his number. He lives in Florida. He lives out here. He's a cool dude, man. I actually got in contact with him, and I use some of his videos sometimes and edit, and throw them in my videos whenever I'm looking for you know, some information, because there's videos of Hebrew Israelites like GMS, these groups like Great Millstone GMS, where these cats have said some crazy stuff on camera. And I can't find these guys' videos anymore because they either took it down themselves or their channels have been taken down because they're so vulgar and disgusting and barbaric that YouTube is like, yo, we can't have this. Like GMS is one of the craziest. The craziest. So you go to Faithful to God's channel, and he has a lot of those videos because he's been doing these videos for a while now. Um, he put a lot of time into this stuff, and he actually put a lot of time into debunking Dante Fortson too, which is something I haven't even gotten into. I don't even, because that dude is in a whole nother realm of Hebrew Israelism. I don't even know what the hell he be talking about. He thinks that copper tone Indians are somehow his ancestors, and he's tricking a lot of black people, man, to think that they're descendants of Native Americans, and it'd be black people that do have some Native American in them, and it's because their ancestries have mixed, their genetics have crossed over, man, because of mixture, and they somehow think that their black side is the I don't, it's weird as fuck. It's weird as fuck. And it's like they love to show like an image of a Native American person that is mixed with black, so they can tell you like, oh look, this is the original one, not giving you the full information, the full history of the mixture of runaway slaves running to Native Americans and mixing with them. Some of them were even enslaved by Native Americans. A lot of people don't know that. Oh, so Dante Fortson is a Wabo? Yeah, for sure. Christ died for one race. Do you remember that conspiracy theory or meme back in 2018 saying that white cops are wearing realistic black masks to start gang wars? Yes, that was crazy as hell. I seen Saint Ivan post that, and he was believing in that. I was like, no, man, stop, bro. There was a few people that were, who's the other one? Lynetta from the Byzantine Queens. There are certain people that were in the ICGJC that left that still believe in some insanely crazy stuff that you can't even talk to them, because anytime you give them a fact about what's real, they don't accept it. But they want you to accept all the pseudo shit. And it's like you have one story of a white dude that put on a Barack Obama mask to rob a bank. And people ran with that and took that and said, you see, this is why there's so much crime being reported in the black community, is because there's white people wearing black masks committing crimes, as if that's how they determine the racial makeup or the racial identity of a suspect. They don't even determine that until they catch the person. That's when they get all the demographics, until they catch them. These people are so slow that they actually think that what they'll do is look at a video of a robbery and say, oh, that looks like a black person. Boom, black suspect, black. That doesn't go into statistics until they get caught and they know for sure the identity of the person. They don't tell you, all those statistics are only with when they have suspects and, of course, the victim's race. They'll give you the suspect's race when they catch them. And sometimes they'll tell you that the person wasn't convicted. So now you have that information. They might have been arrested, but they weren't convicted. So you could determine, so many things from all that information. But these people forget all of that. Forget all the numbers. No statistics. Nah. I just see one video of one person, a white man, with a Barack Obama black mask, and that in my head is why like you're denying what you see in the hood every day. Some of y'all should know better. You're from the Bronx. You're from places that you see this shit every day. I mean, 90% of the crimes, I don't think, let me not say crimes, because I don't know if that, I know 90% of the murders, let's say that, because I know this is a fact. 90% of the murders in New York City, in the city, are committed by either blacks or Hispanics. And in some years, they were 95, 96%. Go look at the news every day in New York City, and you rarely see a white shooter in New York City. Rarely. I promise you that. It's rare. You'll see it once a month, maybe. Every day, you have blacks and Hispanic constantly terrorizing the community, and you got people that don't know that this is a problem in the hood. You think there's white people? White kid is a problem in the hood? Come on, man. The white people get fucked up in the hood when they come to the hood. White people get fucked up when they come to certain areas. I see it all the time. The violent crimes against white people from black people is higher than white on black. The Department of Justice has all the statistics. Go look this up, man. This is a fact. You have all the videos too. You have videos constant. Yo, go to Twitter. This is why I love X or Twitter. They show you all that raw shit, and you see all the violence, man. And you constantly see white kids getting jumped by black people, bro. It happens all the time. If that was to happen to black people as much as it happens to white people, you would have uprisings and shit. What's crazy is that anytime that anything happens when it's a white on black, then they go crazy because of the history of it, I guess. And it's like, how dare you? It's almost narcissism too. It's like, how dare you be white and do something towards me? It's like people are gonna do shit. It's fuck the race. They always want to bring race into it. But shit. People fucking pay attention to what they see. Well, speaking of race too, I was talking to this Hebrew Israelite dude. Oh, brother Haram, what's up? The fuckery. They're into the Book of Enoch now. They've been into the Book of Enoch. And all types of other shit. DTX says Afrocentrics and their self-hating mixed Latino and white kiss-ups think indigenous peoples were looking like Terry Crews and Mr. T. Yo, they really think Mr. T. Oh shit, that's funny as hell. Wait, I thought St. Ivan stopped believing in Afrocentric conspiracy theories. I don't know. This was years ago. I remember seeing that, and it was a few people on my timeline, and I'm the type of person that I'll comment and be like, "No, you're fucking wrong." So I've had the one of the Byzantine queens, which is whatever. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, that I remember that story. I remember going back and forth with her, and I was like, "What are you talking about? This is one case." And they're like, "Yeah, one case that we know about." It's like, well, it's so easy to say there's more cases that we just don't know about it. It's so easy to just say that when you don't have to prove it now. Well, we don't know about it because they're hiding it. But they catch people, and that's when they determine the race of the suspect. Not because they saw a video. That's not how it works. That's why we have all these. They saw a video of somebody robbing a bank that got away, and or they actually caught him. My bad, because they found out, okay, this was a white person. So they actually caught the person. So when they caught the person, they realized it's not a black person. So how can that raise the statistics of crime in the black community when they're catching the person? They're gonna realize they have a mask on, man. Take your mask off. Oh, you're white? Okay. You know, the statistics go in the system, in the database. They get it from precincts. The FBI gets it from precincts. The Department of Justice does the same thing, you know, and not every precinct gives their information. Like New York City doesn't give uh, a certain type of information. Now, it's been a while since I've been able to get some good black on white crime statistics in New York City. I can't get those anymore. I used to be able to get those real easily. Now all of a sudden I can't get those. I don't see the graph for that anymore. They used to take notice of that. They used to actually keep the statistics of that. And now you got to go to the DOJ, I think. You can't go to the individual precincts and do that anymore. It's like it's got to be a department that actually sets out to figure all those numbers out and statistics, and they're out there, you know. And I think that people are going to argue and say, well, some people label themselves black, but they're mixed or whatever. But it's like, but that's what y'all want. Black people love to say, well, you're black, man. It don't matter if you're mixed. Look what they do with Barack Obama. They were saying Barack Obama is the first black president, completely ignoring the fact that he's half white. It doesn't make any sense, yo. It doesn't make any sense. But you know, that's what's called the one drop rule, man. That's a racist way of thinking. You know, I actually got into an argument with a very intelligent sister with all types of degrees on sociology and Afrocentrism and all this crap. And you know, because universities teach you a lot of garbage nowadays, and it's a scam. And then you're going to be in debt for 10 years or 15 years. She was telling me that, oh well, um, it don't matter if he's just half black. So what if Barack Obama was half white? He's black to racist cops. So I'm like, okay, so you think like a racist cop then? Because if a racist cop is going to consider him black, that mean that you have to consider him black? How does a racist cop determine what somebody's race is? Just because, oh, when he gets pulled over, he's going to get treated like a black person. It's like these common narratives that are always spoken about that I hear all the time, and I know how to respond to this shit immediately. This shit is stupid as hell. They always say, "Oh well, white people did this, and well, cops always do this," and it's like they create excuses for when, remember, you know, the story. This is a crazy story right here. I don't know how I didn't do a video on this. What's the story of the dude? It was a father whose son was killed by a cop. He was shot by a cop in Ohio. I believe it was Cleveland or maybe Cincinnati. I don't know. Somewhere in Ohio, this kid jumps out of the car, a stolen car. Cops are chasing him. He has a gun. He drops the gun, picks it up. And you see it on the body camera. He drops it, then picks it up, then runs behind a tree, and cops light him up. Cops light you up, man. You're holding a fucking deadly, and it was like an AR, man. It wasn't no regular pew pew pew. It was a type of gun. The cops didn't play no games and waste no time, and I don't feel bad for that at all. This kid was 17 or 18 years old. He's a young man, I guess you could say. But his father then took offense. Of course, he went. His son was killed. This father went and ran over a random cop, a cop that had nothing to do with the death of his child. He killed a random cop. It wasn't the cop that killed his son. This is insanity right here. I had a coworker tell me because they saw him like in the courtroom and he was like that in the courtroom, and people were like, "Yeah, that's a real man. He stood up for his son." That dude right there is a bitch ass idiot. He's a fool. You should have been there for your son, so your son didn't get shot the hell up. Because if you don't take care of your kids, believe me, the streets will take care of your kids for you. You better take care of your kids or the streets will. But no, we're supposed to feel bad for this father because his kid got killed. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I feel a little bit here. But at the same time, there's a way to react to this. And the way to react to this is not by murdering a cop that had nothing to do with that. You see how they look at cops? They look at it like a monolith where everybody just gets thrown into the same thing like they get like a cop will. I see this all the time on body cam. A cop will pull somebody over, and the person will be like, "Man, I can't stand y'all. Y'all always effing with me. Y'all this and y'all that." And the cop is like, "I never pulled you over. I don't know who you are." And he's like, "Man, y'all messing with me last week, and y'all this." And the dude is like, "Listen, I'm pulling you over because you have an expired tag. The fuck? This is a legal stop. Or I'm pulling you over because you're driving with your lights off, or you didn't come to a complete stop." And then they make the situation worse, and then it becomes a whole fucking Rodney King thing, a BLM fucking protest. That shit is not as hyped as it used to be. They're trying to hype it back up. It usually gets hyped around an election year, so you're gonna watch 2028. Something's gonna pop off right before 2028 election where the Democrats are gonna try to use the fucking spin as a race. They always do that shit. That's why they always bring to the forefront Breonna Taylor, right? You had Joe Biden talking about George Floyd and Jacob Blake and Rashad Lewis, or no, Rashad Lewis as a basketball player. Rashad Richards, I think his name was Rashad something over there in Atlanta. That's the dude that killed. What did he do? Well, no, he tried to tase a cop. He took the cop's taser, fought cops. Cops didn't shoot him while they were fighting him. The cop shot him when he shot the taser at him, and that's the dude that fell asleep at the Wendy's parking lot. That idiot that they were all rioting for, and then they ended up killing a little girl a few days after that in Atlanta because of all the stupid riots and the craziness that's happening in the streets. A little girl got shot. Sakaria Turner, that was her name. People don't care about none of these little kids. Nobody remembers these kids' names. People remember George Floyd's name, though. People remember that. Nobody knows who Tony Timpa is, though. I bet you nobody knows who Tony Timpa is. But those are old stories, man. I've been talking about that for a while. That shit's kind of died down, anyways. A lot of people got fooled and pulled into that crap, and you have a lot of chaos. You have a lot of anarchists. People are like anarchists now. They just want to destroy society, and like, what do they think is going to come out of that? Like, what's going to come out of people just running through the streets, mobs? Is going to be mob rule? Is what they want? We can't allow that shit to happen. Yo, you know how unsafe the streets will be if we let mobs take over and the cops are, just abolished? That's not the type of world I want to live in with my kids. I'm sorry. That'll give more motivation for these Hebrew Israelites to try to take over the world. That's their plan. Go on a deranged rant about yourself. If you had sex with a transgender, press 3. What do you think about raids, Tallahassee, Florida? What do you think about raids, Tallahassee, Florida, of illegal immigrants? Yeah, I don't mind that at all, man. I think that's good. I think that illegal immigrants are a burden on society because they don't pay taxes, and a lot of them actually get federal funding. I don't like that shit. I'm sorry, especially if they're criminals. There's a legal way to go about getting into this country, man. I mean, my family did it legally. What? I didn't have no like we didn't have none of these problems, man. What the fuck is happening with these? Is it's because these are gang members that the reason why they're coming through illegally is because they know that they can't come through legally. Like people got to start waking up and realizing why people take certain actions is because they're probably illegal. I've watched enough of these body cam videos that I feel like I'm a fucking police officer now, where I know how I already know like what people are doing. Like when people are drunk, they try to stall. When people get pulled over and they're actually got some wits about them still, but they know that they're about to get a DUI and they're gonna get breathalyzed and do field sobriety tests and all that. What they'll start doing is they'll try to stall and sober up. By stalling, they'll try to sober up more and have time pass by. So cops know that when it comes time to do a field sobriety test or it's a DUI stop, that this is something that they have to try to get them to do right away because these people want to wait. Oh no, wait, I'm doing something. Oh, I'm calling my lawyer. I'm calling my mom. And I hate these people that get in trouble with cops or they get into some type of issue with a cop. It's a traffic stop or something, and then they get on the phone and call their mom or something. They never call their dad; they call their mom. And it's like, Mom, I don't know, they trying to arrest me, Mom. And it's like, yo, deal with the cops like an adult, yo. The gift of body cam videos, man. I don't know how the hell I was entertained every all these years, man, before this shit became available like this. Cause holy shit, yo. I mean, you talk about reality TV, body cam videos, police activity. Watch that channel. Midwest Society, I think it's called. What's it called? Midwest something. Oh, man, some of the best fucking Midway Patrol, is it? I forgot. But there's so many of these channels, man. I mean, I want to start doing more because I'll sometimes I'll catch some of these videos and I'll get so like it's so entertaining that I'm like I know people in my audience will enjoy it, so I try to edit it and cut it up to get all the funny parts. It's hilarious, man. But I look at all the different police interactions on a daily basis, and the majority of them are no, there's no victims, there's no killings, there's no shooting. The majority of them, end whatever normally. Um, I mean, well, it's not at least like where's a dirty cop. The majority of the time, you catch these dirty cop videos, they probably get more views and more. It goes more viral because it's a big deal when you see somebody who's supposed to have it's supposed to be in a position of authority and they're abusing it. It's like it really makes you dislike that person, and I get that feeling. I know why people hate that a cop that can be like that because they're supposed to be they're not supposed to be that way. So when they start acting that way, it's like, yo, this is uh this is crazy. This is not normal. That type of shit. So those get blown up more, and then people think that that actually happens more because it goes viral. But the stories that don't go viral are the good stops, or the friendly, or the nice, warm-hearted. There's that shit happens all the time. Those things don't go viral, so you think that the majority of the time, what's happening is actually evil racist cop. That's systemic racism and all of that stuff, and oppression, and the black man and all this stuff, man. It's like this shit's been pushed down, like into down our throats, man. And just that's all some of us hear when we are Hebrew Israelite. When I was a Hebrew Israelite, all I involved myself with was racial stuff. And sometimes like I'll look up things just to get mad, like things in history. I'll be like, damn, look what they did to our people. I hate the white man and all this shit. It's like I see that shit now. People do that now. They start looking into things that just gets them mad. And it's all like a confirmation bias too. It's like you wanna feel like you're on the right track, and there's like something to fear. Like when fear starts being pushed out there, and it's a fear mongering. People start to pay attention, especially when it's something that it could affect you, even if it's fake. Because you want to be safe, right? So, oh, something's happening. What I should be. I gotta worry about cops or what? I gotta worry about illegals and all this shit. It's like there's some fear mongering that's it's just inaccurate, pretty much. It's like the sky is falling, Chicken Little and shit. The boy who cried wolf type shit. You know, and then you got fear mongering of the Hebrew Israelite stuff. Listen, I'll talk about them as much as I'll talk about them. For the most part, they're not violent. For the most part, the majority of these cats are not violent. You got to go back to the '90s to catch some of these crazy maniacs that that'll get violent. You hear all these stories. Then you see some stuff on YouTube with like HOI, House of Israel, and Zabak in their little camp out in Times Square. I mean, it's Times Square, anything can happen. I've seen them get into fights. I've seen these cats get into a few fights for sure. I mean, the thing is that when they talk about violence, that happens a lot, and that gets misconstrued with them being violent. So it's a natural confusion because, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire type shit, So people that want to talk about being violent, that they can't wait to be violent, it's like, well, damn, you might be violent real soon. You see that with like David Anderson and his girl in Jersey City. You see that with Austin Smith in Phoenix, and then you have cases where and those are murderers. Those are like mass murderers that are Hebrew Israelites. Um, well, David Anderson, in that case, he was a Hebrew Israelite because he was shot and killed by cops in Jersey. But Austin Smith is still alive. He seemed like to go a little bit crazy though. I think he went a little nuts. Mr. Austin Smith. What up, Edward Sanchez? Fireworks. What's going on, Mr. Sanchez? But yeah, Evan Camacho says, for the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Ooh, I like that. Would you like to live without fear of authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. I like that. That's a good thing. DTX speaks. I missed this comment. He says, I remember seeing these washed up and second-rate white female celebrities letting random influencers take over their IG accounts for a day back during the George Floyd protests. That's crazy as hell. Even before the George Floyd protests, when I was a Bernie Sanders fan, I was a big Bernie Sanders guy. Don't laugh at me, but I was in 2016 because it was mainly because of the Medicare for all stuff and the whole healthcare thing, which I rather. I'm gonna get back to that. I rather we get healthy. I rather we start promoting good health now that I got a better understanding, and I've been getting more familiar with politics and stuff. I can honestly say that I was wrong so many times, man. And I'm gonna continue to get a better understanding of these things. But I like what Robert F. Kennedy's doing with the food and the health and all of that. Human services. He's Secretary of Human Services and Health in the United States. And he's already gotten food dyes out. He already put the bill to get the food dyes out. Now, if these companies, if these corporations, and these different industries and food makers don't comply, then you're gonna start seeing some justice being done on that. But the bill has been passed with no food dyes. Now they're trying to work on other stuff. So if we can do that, then our healthcare system won't take such a big hit. Our healthcare system, we have to spend so much money on it is because we're sick. All of us, man, like we're all sick. We're not healthy. I mean, the United States as a whole is not healthy, man. We're very, very unhealthy. And that is putting a strain on our healthcare system. And that's why you have people like Bernie that says, well, we need Medicare for all because, but okay, that's going to cost a lot. And now you're going to federalize healthcare. And what's going to happen with all the private companies? He was trying to still keep some private insurance, private healthcare insurance, and all of that for people that wanted it. But who's going to do that when it's free? You know. So um, so there was a time where I wanted to go back to this. There was a time in 2019. This was before. No. This was like 2016, 2017, maybe. Yeah, 2016. I'll say it was when Bernie was running against Trump. Bernie was running first against the Democratic Party and Hillary and all of this. So he didn't really get to really go against Trump because Hillary freaking, commandeered that whole damn party, when really the majority wanted Bernie. They didn't want Hillary. But I forgot what Hillary did that I think she got the backing of all these other Democrats to drop out and support her. And then, so her ballot went up and shit, and Bernie was still stagnant because he had his following, and everybody else that was following all these other Democrats that dropped out and supported Hillary. Now Hillary got all their support, and I was like, yo, that's why I like Bernie because I'm like, it seems like Bernie's not really down with all this shit, and they're trying to jerk him and push him out of the party, and then he was doing like a I guess a campaign thing, whatever, and then he had these black women come up to the stage, take the mic, and just run the show. And he was like, he's like, we'll give you a chance. So he was trying to be so nice with them, and they were like, no, we want to. Blah, blah, blah. They were just like yelling in his face, and little do they know, like he supports all this shit. But they were like so just into this. No, we need to speak. If you're not speaking of our black people, we don't want to hear it. And they were just like taking over. So this was going on before the George Floyd thing. There was this uprising of this. It really happened after Trayvon, and then it escalated after Mike Brown. And then ever since then, I don't know what's going on with the minds of people out here because they just keep throwing all these people at you. And you got I can't even think of some of these names. Breonna Taylor was a big one. Jacob Blake. Who was the one in Tamir Rice? That was big because that was a kid. Then you got um, damn, who's the one? Who's the dude? I forgot. There's a lot. There's cops that actually have gotten justice, have gotten arrested, and 25 years. The dude that shot the cop in the back, I forget his name. I talk about these stories, so y'all have heard these before, but things started getting all hyped up, and it seems like shit just spiraled out of control by 2020. 2020 was it. What a year! And I feel like things are still like it's a ticking time bomb out here in these streets, man. Like I feel like anything could happen at any moment where chaos can erupt again and it can get right back to how it was during those months in 2020 between May and July. It was pure chaos. Even going into like September, even going into like damn fall and all of that. You had constant riots. You had a whole block that was taken over in Seattle by crazy ass liberals, man. Like the craziest liberals you'll ever meet is in Portland and Seattle. Like those guys are off the radar, man. Left. They're gone, you know. Those are people that want to abolish the police. They want free drug use, in the streets, free education, free healthcare. Just no order and just pure chaos is what they want. But it's crazy. I'm planning to leave the United States after 44 years. This is Edward Sanchez. In this country, and I was born in America. After 44 years in this country, I was born in America, born and raised in Times Square, Manhattan, and this is a shithole. Born and raised in Times Square, Manhattan. Ooh. It's trying to clean up the full industry. Soldier 144 was good. I grew up on Times Square, so I know exactly what you're talking about. It was Trump who was terminating all of his bills. What bills? These Democrats are destroying our country, and I have no more respect for Democrats, even though the Republicans are more worse. But hey, I got to leave this country. The same thing happens here. It's about to happen this summer, and get ready. That's why I want to leave the end of the month to the Philippines, out of trouble. Philippines is horrible, actually. Everest, everybody talks about January 6th. They're still talking about January 6th. What nobody was actually condemning, at least on the left, was all the riots that happened between May 25th to July 1st. And it happened over criminals, What happened in January 6th, I'm not even fully convinced that all of those people were actually Trump supporters, because there were a number of people that were lifelong Democrats that ended up in that whole January 6th thing. Lifelong Democrats that were actually leaders in their party in their little counties and shit, that supposedly they turned, oh, I'm Republican. They were the ones that you see leading these groups. And before the January 6th, on January 5th, they had protests going on where you see the same dude. There was one guy that never got convicted. It's funny how they got all these cats convicted, pretty much. The majority of these cats were convicted. One cat got 5 years, and he didn't even do any violent crime or nothing. I don't know how he got 5 years, but some of this shit was very silly. Of course, it's buffoonery, and people got hurt, and those people definitely deserve to get put in jail. But then you got people that got shot in the face, like that Babbitt chick or whatever that got shot in the face. People were saying she deserved it. Like there's people that constantly talk about January 6th, man. It's like they can't stop talking about it. It's the one day that y'all say, "Oh, MAGA." Bro, there were Antifa people that it was reported that Antifa people were part of that whole MAGA shit, that January 6th shit. That's what Antifa does, actually. It wouldn't surprise me, because that's what Antifa was doing all throughout Seattle and Portland. They were rioting, and they're the most violent people. Is the people on the left. The people on the left tend to be the most violent ones. They are. All throughout history, you see it. But you got one day, January 6th, where the casualties was actually on the MAGA side, the majority of them, because one person had a heart attack, one person got shot in the face. I think one cop was hurt, something like that. This shit was bullshit, little petty, fucking breaking into the Capitol, which was done in Seattle. I believe it was Seattle. Or was it California? I think it was in Seattle. It was in Seattle. They all looked like people on the right to you. How do people on the right look to you? Because the liberal white people on the left are all throughout Portland and Seattle. So if you're just looking at them being white, that don't mean nothing. Because white people don't vote like black people. Black people, 85% or 80% of black people are Democrats. So if I see a black person, it's a better guess that I can guess, oh, he's a Democrat, and I'll be more accurate than you are if you're guessing a white person is a Republican, because white people are not so, such a monolith like that. Like it's actually black people. 85% of black people vote Democratic. So if you see a black person, you can actually guess and say, I think that person's a Democrat, and 85% of the time you'd be right. But if you see a white person, you can't just guess that a white person's a Republican, because you might be wrong 50% of the time. They were all conveniently at Trump. Well, yeah, that's what you would do if you're gonna be a fraud or a so-called Trump supporter, then you would have to be at the Trump things. Don't you think that people hate Trump? Don't you see like how people on the left are trying to always twist his words around? When he says something, they say, "Oh, look what he." They're constantly lying to you about what he's saying and making you think he's saying. And trust me, there's a great amount of things that he said that's crazy, that I can't support. I can't support everything Trump said. Of course, why would I? That's crazy. But when I think about, do I want Democrats to run this country versus do I want Republicans to run this country? Every day I would tell you I would rather Republicans, because when you look at the Democratic cities like Baltimore, Philly, Detroit, Oakland, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, you look at cities like that, Philly, just Philly, bro, Philly. You see the problem with the Democratic way of thinking, where they're soft on crime and they just give money out to people that they want to help. And some of these people are taking advantage of the system. They're pimping the system. Just like I was talking about earlier, you have a song by a rap group called Dead Prez, called Pimp the System. And they were teaching you how to rob the system, the government, by claiming food stamps and all this, and go, like this is how you destroy society, you know. But I don't know. That's just me. They were literally all wearing his hat. Okay. Um, can you buy a MAGA hat and wear it? I mean, it's a hat. You can buy it. Yeah. But my thing is that, why are you so mad about one day? Do you know that in Seattle, um, in the 1970s, that there's a Capitol building in every state, right? So the Capitol building in Seattle, do you know that Black Panthers went in there with guns before and nobody was killed? They went in there with guns and none of them were shot or killed. Go look it up. Black Panthers went to the Capitol building in Seattle and went with shotguns, ran up in there, and none of them got shot. But on January 6th, you have that white woman named something Babbitt who got shot in her face by a black man, a black cop, or a black whatever he was, social what do they call it? Secret Service? I don't know what he was. But you had no Black Panther shot when they went into the Capitol building, and nobody wants to talk about that. And then you had Puerto Ricans by the last name LeBron who bombed the Capitol back in 1976 and 1967. I might get the year backwards. Go look that up. These are communist Puerto Ricans. These are like socialists, and I forgot their motivation for it. They actually bombed. They actually let a bomb go off during some type of council meeting or something. I bet you never heard about that though, right? But you want to talk about January 6th. Yo, how has January 6th affected your life? During the riots after George Floyd, you had all types of businesses that burned, cars burned down, whole cities. I'm talking about whole downtown cities got taken over. People got beat up for no reason. A black man named David Dorn got shot because he was trying to stop black people from robbing his friend's jewelry store. And these black people during the riots shot David Dorn and killed him. But nobody wants to talk about that. They want to talk about January 6th, bro. And now this conversation is dumb. How's this conversation dumb when I'm educating you about history of what happened in state capitals? You don't want to hear that Black Panthers came to state capital? They also ran into the state capitol, black people. How come you don't know about that? But you know so much about January 6th, bro. That January 6th shit is crazy. Every time I hear somebody mention January 6th, bro, you got one day, man. You got one day. How many days were they rioting for a criminal who was on fentanyl by the name of George Floyd, an amateur porn star, man, who refused to comply with orders and had a horrible heart and arteries, man. He destroyed that shit for years. And that's part of the reason why he died. It was because his health was bad. I hope y'all know that. This is a fact. You could go look it up. What did the coroner say? Bro, but they got murals of George Floyd has become the new hero of the left. There's no more Malcolm X. There's no more Martin Luther King. It's George Floyd. It's insane. Yeah, the Capitol. Oh, good night, Edward Sanchez. Yeah, the Capitol in Washington was bombed by Puerto Ricans that were on the left. People got hurt. I think people died. The January 6th thing was bad. Of course, it's bad. Um, I'm still. I'm. They got to do more digging on that. So they got to find some of these people that never got convicted. I don't understand how certain people got convicted and certain people didn't. And we have the names of some people that didn't because they were like actually very well known, and some of them were well known in politics. I forgot the one dude's name. I'm gonna look him up. But you can find videos. You can see videos of him riling up a crowd and saying, "We got to go to the Capitol tomorrow." And I don't know how this shit got set up, but that dude, when I find his name, I'm gonna do a video on him. I think I already did a video on him. It was probably a short because there's not much information about him. He kind of just disappeared and never got convicted. Yeah, I find it kind of weird, but still, the fact that people want to focus on that, like that shit, is like the unforgivable sin of slavery and shit. You know, when white people do something, it's like, oh shit, how dare you? It's like they have it's like they have a higher bar for what white people can do. And then when black people do the same thing, they're like, yeah, but you know, they're black and they're disenfranchised, and I feel sorry for them. You got to let them get away with stuff. Who's the real racist? No, the capital of Washington. It's crazy that the same people that claim to hate everything America stands for are mad at January 6th. You think that they love that day? Bro, this dude literally said he hates America, this Everest dude. But he's mad that they're going into the Capitol building. Dude, that's exactly what you want, bro. That's what you want. DTX says MLK and Malcolm X were good guys and intelligent men who fought for a good cause. George Floyd was a drug addict maniac, regardless if he was legally innocent or the video being disturbing. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, that shit made me shed tears when I saw. It was when I heard him cry out, you know, and I saw the video. I remember getting emotional about it, and I didn't even see the whole video. All I got was the point of view from the camera, the dude that was holding the camera, or it was a guy. And then when I got the whole story, I was like, oh, wait a minute, what? This dude was not trying to get inside the cop car. He said he's claustrophobic or something, but he was just in a car. He was literally just sitting in the car when they pulled him out. You could see drugs in his mouth because when they saw the cops pull up, I think they started swallowing all the drugs. He probably swallowed all the drugs, and that's probably why he died. That's probably part of the reason why he died. You know, you could see it in his mouth. Another video I did, and I showed some of y'all this because I don't know why they never showed this, man. There's a video of George Floyd. He's handcuffed, and then he gets sat down right on the wall on the floor, and then you can see him drop, a little baggie. Like he drops a little baggie. You see the white baggie drop right behind him. Right behind him. But welcome, Mr. Brooklyn Outlaw. What's up, brother? Can you hear me? There
What's
you
going?
go. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on?
What's up with?
You back in Florida?
Yeah.
I know, man. I gotta come check you, man. Definitely. But yeah, man, what you think about the conversation? You want to add anything to it?
Well, I haven't been on for a little bit because I was just on the phone for a while, so I don't know where your conversation went.
Mm.
I know, what I'm saying, you was talking about certain topics,
Yeah.
but I wanted to mention something about race because, I heard you saying something about race earlier with the, especially like and all that different stuff.
Mm.
Um, have you ever seen Black Panther?
Mm. I've never seen the whole movie.
All right, there's a girl. I don't know her name. The actress that was basically his girlfriend in the movie. She was born in Mexico, right? She's African,
Yeah.
but she was born in Mexico. So
Lupita Nyong'o.
there you go. So
Yep.
I was actually watching somebody talk about something similar the other day, and they were saying that race is really how you're looked at. Like in America, especially, they look at you with white, black. That's how they, figure your race. When you look at the IDs or when you go to jail, that's how they're gonna label.
Yeah.
Now, your nationality is where you're born. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
she was born in Mexico. So
Yeah.
she's actually Mexican. That's her nationality. She was born there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where it got deep at. He
Mm-hmm.
said, "I'm gonna show you," because they were saying, "No, it's not really no racism when it comes to that." They're like, "I'm gonna show you it is," because in Latin America, especially in the Spanish channels, the representation 95% is white-skinned Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you see. And if you see anybody that looks indigenous or dark skinned, they're somebody like a maid or they do the lawn or some shit.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
he said, I'm gonna break it down to you so you can really understand it. She's from Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's dark skinned. She's very dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, but Canelo Alvarez is from Mexico too. But
Mm-hmm.
look at Canelo Alvarez's skin color.
Mm.
Why is it they look at him like he's the face of Mexico, but her, they won't even consider her as Mexican.
Mm.
But she was born there.
Right.
She actually is Mexican,
Yeah.
but they won't claim her. But Canelo Alvarez, who has the white skin, they'll claim him that's the one. That's Mexico's biggest star.
They
So
love Canelo, man.
right, and that's what he was breaking down with the as far as the race goes. Now you got three different things: race, ethnicity, and you have your nationality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he was talking to somebody who was Puerto Rican, but was very fair skinned. They were like white skinned.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking to dude, and he was like, "So what's your nationality?" The dude said, "I'm Puerto Rican." He said, "You sure you Puerto Rican?" He was like, "Yeah, my parents are born. I was born in New York, but
Mm.
I'm Puerto Rican." He said, "Your parents are Puerto Rican. You were born in America, so you're American. Your nationality is not Puerto Rican. That's your parents.
Yeah.
Now, your ethnicity, I don't know what it is because I don't know your DNA,
Mm.
but you're
Exactly.
white. As you're Hispanic, I mean, as a your race, you're white. I'm looking right at you, bro." He goes, "You're whitey." He goes, "You want
Yeah.
to say you're Puerto Rican? That's cool, but you can't prove that to me because," he goes, "guess what? You could be white skinned, born in Puerto Rico, but your ethnicity could be Arab. Check that out.
Mm. Yeah.
Ethnically, you're Arab.
Right.
Ethnically,
Yeah.
born in Puerto Rico, that's your nationality, but your skin is white, so you're white. Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Confusion. Now, again,
but you
what?
see how people get confused with those terms, anyways, all the time.
Nah, definitely being in the Hebrew Israelite community, that's one thing that we never took it that deep. It was just, you Puerto Rican, you Dominican, whatever. This is what tribe you from. But
Right.
they didn't really get into how the fuck you really know that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's one thing. As much as I was bumping that bullshit, oh, I'm Ephraim, I'm Ephraim. Nigga, I couldn't prove that shit to you. I couldn't prove it, and nobody else in there could prove it to me. But guess what? I'm Ephraim. I got no way to prove that shit.
What's crazy is that you can always say, technically, biblically, you can always say, I have faith, you know?
Yeah, of course. You got to live by faith, brother.
And I think that's what a lot of people do pretty much. I don't think, I could never really break it down, like explain how I'm a Simeon. I could never really do that except by like starting with a conclusion that Haitians are Levi and Dominicans are Simeon. So you start with that conclusion, and then you go backwards to the scripture and try to find something to fit it in, instead of starting with the scriptures and then trying to, have that lead you to where it's supposed to lead you to. So you see how they do
Right.
it backwards? They always do that too. They'll tell you, well, first of all, Levi is the Haitian. So they say that, they always have to say that. And then they'll start, and the reason why we know that is because the Bible says the spirit, I forgot, whatever the hell it says. Um,
Hmm.
but I was talking to this one dude. Who's thinks he's a Judite, right? But he says he's African too. It's weird. Like there's like these African Hebrew Israelites, but I guess it's because
Hmm.
maybe it's like how we're talking about. Maybe to him, African is like a nationality or something. I don't know. But you know, this thing goes many different ways, and it's hard to keep up with every little teaching, because it's like so many different little you know differences. So this guy,
Right.
he went to the same old scripture though. When I asked him, because he said he's a Judite, so I was like, "How do you know you're a Judite?" And he goes to Genesis 49:12, and he's like, "You see, Judah says his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth shall be white with milk." And when you actually read the Hebrew, and then you go into other English translations too, it'll tell you that it's talking about red like wine and white like milk.
Hmm.
That's actually what it's trying to say. It's not trying to say like his eyes were red because he was drinking wine. And then he goes and says, "Who you see on the corners drunk off wine all the time?" And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? Like what, fucking old white women? What are you talking about? Black people don't drink wine. Black people drink Hennessy and malt liquor and shit. Like if you want to be stereotypical, that's what you got to. That's what you're gonna say. But he's like talking about wine. Like what hood did you grow up in? Like the fucking Napa Valley or something? Like no, black people don't drink wine like that. Like we were drinking Manischewitz because we were fucking idiots. But other than that, like what the fuck? So I'm like, okay, first of all, that's not what the scriptures are saying. But if it was what it was saying, how does that mean that you're a
Hmm.
Judite? Like, do you drink? And he's like, I like to drink sometimes. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you know what? I drink. So does that mean that I'm a Judite? You might be. He said. I was like, because I drink?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's is all that shit is bullshit, man. All that Hebrew Israelite dumb shit. Well, the one thing I'm gonna tell you, bro, there's like a big stigma on the when it comes to being black, because you know how they always say, especially with Dominicans, me no black, papi, me Dominican, me no black. Nigga, your skin black. What you talking about, bro?
But I don't think. All right, I was going into that earlier. I don't think that
Mm.
they're saying that their skin is not black. I think that they're saying that they're not black Americans when they say that. Godfrey,
Right. That's what I'm saying. The
yeah.
stigma of that
Oh
word
yeah,
is going back to black Americans. Like nobody wants to be
right,
affiliated with that shit.
right,
They
right.
don't. They like don't label me a late because you know the stigma.
Even even Haitians
They,
will do that. Even
yeah,
Haitians do that.
they don't want that stigma. They don't want to be labeled so-called lazy, so-called they don't do shit. Because that's what that is when they say that. Black. That's the first thing they think of, lazy Americans.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's why I've been like, oh, me no black, I'm Dominican. Or I'm not black, I'm Jamaican. Motherfucker, you black. What you talking about? You
yeah.
got Puerto Ricans as black. You got Dominicans. You got Cubans as black. If your skin is black, you black, bro.
DTX speaks on in the comments. He said, "I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo's ancestry is really Scottish, Irish, or Welsh." he,
Yeah,
eh,
it could be. It could
but
be. That nigga could be
I
a
think he's beloved because he's a great boxer. But I see what you're saying. Like in the novelas and all the soap operas, the Spanish ones are usually done in Mexico, and
right.
the majority Mexicans have actually more indigenous people. There's actually more
Right.
indigenous people in Mexico than I think. I mean, definitely more than Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic.
Nah. Listen, when it comes to South Central America, they're more bigger indigenous population, of course.
Yeah,
We know that. Just looking at them, you could tell they have more indigenous in them.
right,
You could see it by just looking at them. Now, when it comes to the Caribbean, like you were saying earlier, yeah, Puerto Ricans might have more than Dominicans and Cubans and wherever else, more of it, but it's not as prominent as in South and Central America.
right. And then there's certain places in Puerto Rico where you're going to see a
Right.
higher amount of indigenous, and just like in Cuba, I remember watching a documentary one time, and this guy wanted to get to a certain part of Cuba that's hard to get to, and
Hmm.
he had to cross a river in a car. It was crazy. Like his car almost broke down, and he finally made it to this like mountainous region and mountainous area, and it's like some very indigenous looking people there. And there was a dude that he still had like all the like the cultural stuff that they had. Like he actually can trace his ancestry, or he actually knows like his ancestry goes back to like indigenous people and natives and cacique. He said cacique,
Oh
which
yeah, the Chiefs.
yeah, because he had like a
Yeah,
headpiece.
yeah,
He had like one of those headpieces with the
yeah.
feathers
Yeah.
and he was showing like the dude doing the documentary, and it was like a very um like low budget type of like filming. It was just like a regular dude just that went to Cuba and did this, but it was really cool that I got to see that because sometimes they make you think like the indigenous people are like wiped out or something in Cuba and Puerto Rico and even in DR, and it's like that's not, we still out there.
Yeah, nah, we still there. It might not be as prominent,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, you're not gonna know until you do a DNA test, and that's the crazy thing because with Puerto Rico, from when I studied some of this shit, that they always thought Puerto Rico had the most European because a lot of them are very white skinned, and you even know it. Growing up in New York, they always thought if you were light skinned, you were Puerto Rican. If you were dark skinned, you were Dominican. That was like a big thing in New York City.
Yeah,
And come to find out, Puerto Rico has the most of the Caribbean, the most indigenous population out of Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. Those three,
that's true.
which is crazy. They got the most, even though it might not be a big amount.
Yeah.
We talking about 16, 14%. They have the most. As high as 24%. I've heard, different studies and shit. But
They say that a lot of them came from South America.
yeah, the Arawaks,
Yeah,
they came from like Venezuela and all that, and they migrated up there into the Caribbean. And the
right.
Tainos was inhabiting DR, well, Hispaniola will say,
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Well, let's call it what it actually is, AT, and then it was called Hispaniola. Then it was broken down to Dominican Republic and Haiti. You know what I'm saying? But Jamaica, they was all through there, the Antilles. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. The great.
This brother said he an Ephraimite because he used Goya.
What up, combat conversation? What up, yo? That's another drinker right there. I saw your video. He said, listen. He said, I smoke cigars and I drink. He's like, and I ain't gonna stop. I love that video. It's nice and short. DTX says, aren't a lot of Arabs technically white themselves? Also, WB mixed race people. What about mixed race people that can pass for white or Middle Eastern? Well, you know what? I don't know. These terms aren't really used anymore, like Caucasoid and Negroid and Mongoloid, but or Caucasians, I guess. Um, Middle Eastern people and even Egyptians are considered Caucasians. If you look it up,
Yeah.
or at least they were.
Ethiopians too. Ethiopians are not considered black.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't consider themselves black. That's crazy though. But they actually have a lot more European or Middle Eastern DNA than most people think. You can
Yeah.
see it in Eastern Africa. You can see it in Eritrea and Ethiopia. You can see the difference between the West Africans, and I think that has to do with the migrations from the Middle
Yeah.
East and Yemen, and it being so close to that whole area,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Look in North Africa. Yeah, it's like Morocco. Yeah, they're African, but guess what? They look Arab.
Yeah, they
You
do.
know what I mean? Like French Montana. He's from North Africa. And
Mhm.
that nigga looks straight Arab.
Yep.
He is
And,
Arab. I don't even want to say he look Arab. That nigga is Arab.
yeah, and then you got the Amazi people, they call them, and
Mhm.
that's like they were all in that northern part of Africa. The Berbers, who they call the Berbers too, they all inhabited that northern part of of Africa because it's hard to get across the Sahara Desert, man. Go look up how many
Mhm.
people have died in the Sahara Desert just in the last 10 years. It's I think it's probably in the thousands, in the like the low thousands. I think the last time I looked, it was between 2015. No, yeah, between 2015 and 2023. I think like I just looked it up. Garfield posted it. It was like 600 people died, and this is now. Imagine back then what how they say Israelites migrated from Israel to West Africa. They would have to have crossed the Sahara Desert, and if they were getting away from the Romans owned all that North African territory. Most of that they own that yeah, the majority of it. If you look at it across the Mediterranean, the Roman Empire was all across, going down into Egypt and Africa, and the Greeks had it first. That
Listen, bro. When it
that
comes
north.
to all this shit, Umar says, but it's funny as shit.
Yeah, yep,
I heard him say
yeah.
he's not into a black man down, right? Because he was talking about Kendrick and Drake. He
Mm,
said, I'm not into a black man tearing another black man down. He goes, but he goes, unless I'm mistaken, I've never heard Drake say he's a black man. I heard him say, my father's black, but
mhm.
never heard him say, I'm black. So if Kendrick tears him down, I'm okay with it. He said, because Jewish, he never claimed black. Like I said, Dr. Umar, he's funny. I don't really take everything he says into consideration as to like or heavy thinking about it. It's like the Hebrew Israelites. I look at them and they fucking clowns, man. Dressed up like damn what's that Shinobi and shit. Niggas looking like Ninja Turtles.
You're terrible.
The- They listen, man. Them people really they getting under my skin, bro. I can't believe I spent so much bullshit time in there, man. I wasted my time. Let me not say they wasted my time, but I wasted my own time.
Yeah, but we also thought like, yeah, I mean, we wasted our time pretty much. It's
Yeah,
like they got to share some blame too, I think. But yeah, we got to blame ourselves too.
yeah, no, definitely. There's some blame there, but yeah, we got to take some accountability for being so damn dumb for so long.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I see people every day, and they kind of like. I don't. I think. I get so motivated to like show these people that they're wrong, because I feel like what like that moment where that light bulb, and it was like light bulbs kept going off after I started really like I dropped the fear of looking into anything that that they say is, oh, it's all negative and speaking against the church, and if you if you listen to that, the devil's gonna seduce you and you're gonna go to hell and shit. So once I started like not being afraid of just researching and questioning stuff, it was so many times, it was like one after the other, you know um from the scripture that we just were talking about in Genesis 49, where it says his eyes were red with wine and his teeth were white with milk. It's like, okay, they always want to say, well, okay, that means that Judah likes to drink, man. They like to drink wine. Does Judah like to drink milk? What on what corners black people drink? Like they never talk about that. Like what
Right,
kind
right, right.
what kind of breakdown is this to like it's a genetic claim that you're making by saying that Judites are African Americans, and then they prove it by, oh well, they like to drink. It's like you don't prove a genetic claim, or you don't go into how are you going to figure out your genetics just by you drink. Like Irish people
Yeah.
like that's an
At
Irish
the
Irish people are known for drinking. Like that could fall right in there. They could be Judites.
at the end of the day, bro, it comes down to what I heard before, the Cinderella effect. If it fits, run with it. Them niggas try to make it fit. But guess what? You ever watch Scarface? That nigga said, why don't you try sticking your head up your ass? See if it fits.
If it don't
Yeah,
fit,
man.
must quit.
Yeah.
Ah man, this it's funny though, man, because there's a bunch of other scriptures that I'm starting to read. Like Isaiah 14:21 is another one. Prepare a slaughter for his children, and for the sins of their fathers, that they don't inhabit the cities and all this stuff. Then when you read verse 4 in Isaiah chapter 14, it tells you bring this proverb up to the king of Babylon and go back
Mm.
to but read verse 21 again. It says, prepare a slaughter for his children. His children. Who is he that is talking about? They're going to say it's talking about Esau, but where in the scriptures is it talking about Esau? When you read the scriptures, talking about the king of Babylon, and that would be Nebuchadnezzar at that time. So,
Right.
like, Nebuchadnezzar was one of the biggest enemies of God. So, obviously, that's who it's talking about. Like, it's clear. Like, why wouldn't it be talking about him? And it
Yeah.
continues to talk about him, but it's like what Girardi would always say, how they take you out of, like, I forgot how he calls it. It's like a time warp. It's
Hmm.
like it's like they say that no, this scripture is talking about a different time. This is a time in the future, but then the scripture right after is literally talking about what's going on at the moment, and the kingdom being destroyed, the kingdom of Israel, and then being taken over by whatever kingdom, the Babylonians or whatever, and it's talking about that, and they try to make it seem like it has a deeper meaning. But how can you actually prove that a basic verse has a deeper meaning if you read it for what it is, and it's talking about a situation that you can point to, but then they say, yeah, it's talking about that, but it's also, that they'll say that sometimes, and it's like that's when they really
Yeah.
start fucking with your brain. When two things
One
could,
one
one thing can mean multiple things. It's like that really has to do a number on you.
trying to like use certain scriptures, like you said, and it has like different meanings depending on what you're talking about. Like, come on, man. When is God gonna say what he mean and mean what he say? If you telling me this is the word of God, why God gotta be confusing people? You know what I'm saying? One thing that this is me and what I've come to believe. I don't know who the mystery God is. I just know the God that, Jesus talked about when he spoke of the Father and the God of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
They're not the same fucking person, bro. There's no way when Jesus talks about the Father and forgiveness and love and forgiving, but the God of the Old Testament, go in there, kill everybody, kill the women, kill the babies, kill the animals. That's not the same God. Somebody was perpetrating, bro.
Yeah, that's
It's
clear.
not. There-
That's clear.
there's no. There's no. How you? What's the word? When they're not the same, bro.
No
The
reconciliation.
Father. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus, the Father he talks about is not at all the same God of the Old Testament. The same God who told you, take your son and sacrifice him. What the fuck are you talking about? Why would God tell you to do that? And
how
then
how long
stop you
how
right
long
before you do it.
how long were you in the
Say
ICU?
it. Uh, 3 to 19.
16, 17 years. Yep. Oh.
You know what I
D-
mean?
DTX says, funny enough, before this Kendrick versus Drake beef, Afrocentrics claimed Drake as a black man. Yet since then, they've been showing their true feelings about him. That's true. That's true. I see what you're saying there for sure. People
Yeah, of course they could
definitely try
do.
to claim Drake. Black people
Of course
definitely.
they was claiming him because he was the hottest thing on earth when it came to hip hop, even pop, and he
Yeah,
and he was getting all the accolades. But now when he's when they
yeah.
have nothing to do with that nigga. Now he's
Right,
Jewish.
right. That's why.
Nah,
That's what
you
I
just
think he
claimed him.
meant by they not like us. I think it literally has to do with like race. I don't know. I could be.
Mm,
I could be wrong, but I don't know.
right.
But because Kendrick is on that. He's on that whole. He was at least in the Hebrew Israelite stuff. I don't think he is anymore, but I don't know. It's hard to tell what the hell people believe. And then DTX says it's kind of like it's true. DTX, look what he says. He says put it this way: Drake looks more African than Louis Farrakhan, Neely Fuller Jr., Phil Valentine, David Imhotep. Afrocentrics are inconsistent about who they claim to be black. Man, that's so true. It's like they could claim Barack Obama to
Yep.
be, but then if he does something that they don't like, that in support of America or white people or whatever, they're gonna turn their back on him immediately. And there's a lot of people that don't care for. There's a lot of black people that don't care for Obama at all. But
That's another thing, yo. That's another thing. This is where we go back to what you were saying about the word black and the stigma on it. People want to say Barack Obama is the first black president, but yet you got people darker than him that say I'm not black. How the fuck? How the fuck you not black, but Barack Obama's black? You darker than him.
oh my god,
That's where it goes with that stigma that they don't want to be known as black because black to them is like you said, black American,
yeah.
and there's a lot of stigma behind that shit.
And then, but
So
you remember that white woman, Rachel Dozell or whatever? She was trying to be
yeah,
black, and she actually passed. I don't know how she passed for a black person. She was able to just talk a certain way and act a certain way. But if you look at her, you can tell this woman's not black. She tried to curl up her hair, give herself a tan, and then the news went to her parents' crib. Yo, she's pure white, man.
yeah.
That was
I
that's
seen another.
funniest shit, man. I mean,
I
if
saw
black
another
and,
story.
and I'll say this: if black people are so oppressed, why are white people trying to be black? Oh my god!
Listen, bro. I think Paul Mooney said, everybody want to be a nigga till it's time to be a nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like
right.
it's convenient until shit gets real. Then you don't want to be black no more. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
God.
Who's Lester Jacobs?
He says GOCC and GMS claim some Irish, Scottish, and Welsh are Judah. That's crazy. We're just talking about the drinking thing. Uh,
Mm.
and then, as I say, uh, they be doing the Hebrew hopscotch with the scriptures. time warp, the time warp doctrines. Horses, chariots, and bows mean tanks, helicopters, and nukes. That
Yeah,
is
you
hilarious.
niggas is clowns, man.
That the rest of Revelation and the Seven Seals breakdown was crazy. That dude was reaching on those, man, and we were just eating it up. That shit didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
He said
none of it made sense.
he said that there were planes in World War II that had hair and teeth and faces and all of that, and that's what it was talking about. Like, how the hell do you know that the scriptures is talking about fighter jets and fighter planes?
Cause remember, God was talking to him. God told him. Remember?
Shit is crazy. And it's all
Yeah.
talking about like wasps or something, or like what is it? What was one of the plagues that happened to Egypt? It was probably something like that.
The lice, the water turning to blood.
It was like what was it? It was frogs. It was like I forgot,
Yeah,
but
it was the death of the firstborn.
hmm
Yeah,
what?
well, what I was saying earlier
Mm-hmm.
about, yo, I really, that shit is really baffling me how I got so caught up because I used to be in that place and wondering why I don't understand certain things, but I would be like, I just don't get it. So I don't want to look wicked by saying I don't understand something when I didn't understand it, but I didn't want to look wicked by saying I don't get it. Like, excuse me, sir, can you explain it? Because I don't fucking understand this shit. Because one of the main things, like I said, that God of the Old Testament and the God of the one that Christ spoke about, they don't have any relevance, bro. They don't mean the same shit.
Right.
How is God gonna tell you take your son and sacrifice him, and right before you do it? No, 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 stop. I was only playing. What the fuck? Why are you playing like that?
And there's like scriptures too that Israelites now like Sakari are like saying that but Paul's going off. So this scripture, he's going off on this scripture, and they won't accept certain things because that's the thing about the Bible. It's like it's all over the place. It's not. I don't think it's supposed to make sense, but people try to make sense of it by doing like what we say they do. They go in reverse and try to like come to a conclusion first and then try to figure it out, and make sense of things. So it's like when you go to Deuteronomy 28:68, you got to do all types of verbal gymnastics in order for it to end up being the transatlantic slave trade. Because in their mind, they start with the transatlantic slave trade and then they try to form that scripture to fit it into it. So
Yeah,
they constantly begin with a conclusion and then they try to make their way to that conclusion and it doesn't make sense. But then they constantly tell you, they'll constantly be so sure about things. They'll be like, because if they ask me who are the Israelites today, I'll be like, there are no Israelites, or I don't know. Like that's not even. I don't even think that's a good question to ask because the way genetics works is not like how they think it's the seed of a fruit that just continues on, and apples are just apples, and oranges are just oranges. It's like that's not how humans work, man. Like genetics mutate, and over time, that's why we have Puerto Ricans now, and there weren't no Puerto Ricans back then. So when they ask you, "Oh, what are the Puerto Ricans in the Bible?" Like that's not a thing. There were no Puerto Ricans in the Bible. Just like there was a time when there
right.
were no Israelites. There was a time during before Abraham. There were no Israelites, and then there came the Israelites. Just like there was a time there were no Puerto Ricans or Dominicans, and now there are. And it's like that's exactly how genetics works. It's a mixture, and we're constantly mixing and mixing and mixing. And the more time goes on, we're gonna start looking like we're all gonna start looking the same. We're all gonna start looking like freaking biracial angels and shit. I don't
The shit that's gonna be funny is everybody that was saying me no black, papi, me no black. In the future, we all gonna look black, and everybody's gonna be mad at everybody else. We all look fucking black. Nobody wants to be black, but now everybody black. And the thing, what I noticed about that, going back to that, there was an interview with Roberto Clemente that I saw, and he said that I got two strikes against me. One, I'm black, and two, I'm Latino. You see how you could be both, nigga. You could be
know.
Puerto Rican and black because you are black, bro.
Right.
People don't get it. It's like, yo, come on, man. They're like, nah, he's not black. He's Puerto Rican. Motherfucker, I'm looking at him. He's black. What are you talking about?
Right.
My eyes are deceiving me. Puerto Rican is not a damn color.
Bro, eventually we're all gonna look like Blake Griffin, okay?
That's crazy.
Eventually we're all gonna look like Drake and Blake Griffin. Oh my god. Nah, but I'm gonna call it a night because I gotta work
Yeah, no doubt.
in the morning. But I appreciate everybody coming through. Brooklyn Outlaw, thank you for coming through. I'll holler at you real soon, of course. Appreciate you.
Yeah, give me hey, hit me up. Just hit me real quick right after we get off of here, real quick.
All right, I got you. I'll call you up.
All right,
All right. Yes, sir.
all right. Good night, y'all.
All right.
Peace.
So. Peace out to Brooklyn Outlaw. And peace out to DTX and Everest and Soldier 144. Combat Conversation, Mr. Kreider. Brother Haram. Reno. I don't think I shouted out Reno. What's good? I saw that. I just saw that one comment. A Sharp, what's good? Damn, I didn't shout out A Sharp either. Edward Sanchez and Modern Chaos. What's up? Everybody who came through. I had a lot of people on earlier. Denise Marie came on. Edwin Kelly. What's good, Edwin Kelly? And appreciate everybody coming through. I'm out. I'll be back next week. Peace.